Good morning.
Morning.
Nice day.
Beautiful.
So, is there a pride parade in town
I wouldn't know.
on your way to a photo shoot, maybe?
No, not at all. Why you ask?
Well, you know,
No, I don't know.
the way you're dressed.
What about the way I'm dressed?
Uh, Really, I don't mean to be rude, but isn't that a tad bizarre?
Well, you are being rude. Would you mention that to a Hasidic Jew about his large brim hat, long black coat, thick beard, and long curls at either side of his face?
No, no, I wouldn't. But I might, with respect, inquire as to the reason for the hat, coat, beard, and curls.
Oh, so you are respectfully inquiring as to why I am wearing a tiara, a crown, and some feathers?
I am.
Well, first, let me ask you why you are wearing what you are. The suit, the tie, the shoes.
I'm a lawyer. This is the way a lawyer dresses.
Well, I'm a fairy, and this is the way the fairies dress.
Excuse me? You think you're a fairy? An actual fairy?
You think you're a lawyer? An actual lawyer?
Okay. I'll play along. So, what do I call a fairy?
What do I call a lawyer?
I mean, what's your name? Your fairy name?
What's your lawyer name?
I don't have a lawyer name, but it's George if you want to know.
Well, then, it's so nice to meet you, George. I'm Betty.
Betty? Betty? Oh, what kind of a name is that for a fairy?
What were you expecting?
I don't know. Names like Tinker Bell and Peter Pan, or Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather in Sleeping Beauty, or Huck in Midsummer Night's Dream, or at least a name with a job title built in, like the fairy godmother from Cinderella.
George, I hate to break it to you, but none of those are real. They're all just fictional characters, the product of some author's pen or some artist's brush.
Of course, they're not real. Fairies are not real, period.
Well, I happen to wonder if lawyers are real.
Of course, lawyers are real. Here I am, a real lawyer.
And here I am, a real fairy, Betty, the Staten Island Ferry Fairy. That's me. And I am proud to say that I have been Betty, the Staten Island Ferry Fairy, since first launched back in 1817, when the Richmond Turnpike Company started a steamboat service from Manhattan to Staten Island.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. 1817? That would make you, what, like 200 years old?
204, actually. This is 2023. Do the math.
I must say, you are looking rather young for a 204-year-old fairy.
Actually, I'm looking quite ancient for a fairy. Fairies do not age like lawyers do, but we do grow old and,
Die?
oh, goodness, no. Fairies do not die. We retire.
Retire to where?
Fairyland, of course. Where else?
So let me get this straight. You think you're a 204-year-old fairy who does not die, but retires to a place called Fairyland?
George, I do not think I am a 204-year-old fairy who does not die but retires to a place called Fairyland. I am a 204-year-old fairy who does not die but retires to a place called Fairyland. It's true.
And you have supposedly been riding this ferry, this big orange boat, for all that time.
Well, not this boat specifically, but I have been assigned to ride many ferries over the year. And by the way, They were not always orange. Originally, the ferries were white before being changed to a maroon red and eventually to orange, so they would be easier to see in heavy fog and snow.
Makes sense. You seem to know a lot about the Staten Island Ferry.
Hey, that's my middle name. And by the way, we should more rightly be saying the Staten Island ferries, plural. There are 9 ferry boats in service, and I work all of them. It was just your good luck that I'm riding this ferry with you today, George.
Yeah, lucky me. Stuck on the ferry with a ferry. So, Betty, what fairy stuff can you do? Sprinkle a little magic fairy dust on me and make me fly?
Fairy dust. Oh,
Yeah.
really? That old stereotype? We fairies do not need dust to do magic. It comes quite naturally to me.
So now you're saying you're a magician, like Harry Houdini and David Copperfield?
No, no, those guys did magic tricks. I do real magic.
Okay, show me.
Oh, we fairies do not use our talents flippantly. The fairy codebook of magical and mystical practices is quite clear on when and where magic may be used. It is a great power that must be respected.
Right. So you can do magic, but you can't demonstrate because the fairy cookbook of magical and mystical practices forbids it.
Fairy codebook, not cookbook. But, that's the gist of it. I really do magic. Just can't show you.
Oh, please.
Oh, all right. Let's see. What shall I do? Oh, I have it. This should convince you. Behold, I will now make myself totally disappear. Ta-da!
Betty, I can still see you.
No, you can't. I'm invisible. You just think you can see me because you have such a strong memory of what I look like. Anyway, that's enough invisibility. Not really that comfortable a state of being. Can't find my shoes a lot. I'm back. Pretty cool, huh?
Betty, you did not disappear. I could see you the whole time.
Yeah. So you're just a non-believer. Beliefs can be very powerful, George. You just believe so strongly that I could not actually disappear that when I did, you just could not see what was not right in front of your nose. Oh, I feel sorry for you, George. You are missing out on so much magic.
Yeah, well, at least I'm not a raving lunatic dressed up like Tinkerbell.
Did you forget? Tinkerbell is not real.
And neither are you, Betty. The Staten Island Ferry, you are a real person, a human being just like me. You're not 204 years old. You cannot disappear at will.
Sure, I can. Watch. Ta-da! And I'm back once again.
Why do I always attract the nut jobs?
Well, it's about time you asked.
Sorry, you weren't meant to hear that.
No, it's fine. I've been waiting for you just to wonder why.
Why what?
Why your destiny brought you here today to sit next to me on this ferry boat. You and you alone were meant to be here today. Haven't you noticed that you and I are the only 2 passengers this morning?
What's that? Oh, that is unusual. But what? What were you saying about my destiny?
I was saying your destiny brought you here to receive a message from, what do you call him? You know, the big guy, the almighty Lord, creator, infinite spirit, supreme being.
God? You're talking about God?
Well, your God as you conceive God to be. And yeah, the reason you are here with me today is because God sent me to you with a message.
Seriously. You have a message from God for me, a guy you just met and know nothing about.
Oh, George, I know quite a bit about you. I've read your fairy dossier. It's very interesting.
Oh, so now I have a dossier in fairyland. I must be quite special.
No, no, not really. We keep dossiers on all humans. We know everything. We know when you are sleeping. We know when you're awake. We know when you've been good or bad.
So be good for goodness sake. You're singing Christmas songs now.
Is that a Christmas song? Uh, no matter. Fact remains, I know everything about you, George. Everything.
Ah, 3 bells. That's the signal. We'll be docking soon. Look, Betty, Betty, it's been an interesting experience meeting you, but I think I'll wait up front to debark. So goodbye and have a nice ferry day.
Okay. Bye-bye. I'll give my best to Alice.
Sure, I will. Hey, how do you know my wife's name?
Oh, and say hello to the kids too. Trevor, Scott, Julie, and of course, little Jane. Now, has she recovered from that bout with the flu?
My wife, my children. How do you know their names?
Names, birthdays, favorite colors, and what they wore for Halloween last year? I know it all.
Yeah. Are you a private detective? Is this fairy nonsense just a ruse to get to me? Oh, I get it. Dan and Roland from the office sent you. They know my wife and kids, and they saw the photos from Halloween. This is all a joke, huge joke, isn't it?
Well, I suppose it could be a joke. Unless I know things Dan and Roland would not know, like the fact you've been experiencing chest pains for a few weeks now, and that you're afraid of something really bad happening to you. A heart attack? Is that what you fear most? And you haven't said anything to Alice yet. You are just too terrified to voice the words.
How can you know? It's not possible. Unless you really are a fairy?
Bingo! That's what I've been trying to tell you. I really am a 204-year-old fairy, and I have been sent to deliver a message to you.
Oh my God. Don't tell me I'm going to die on this boat.
Relax, George. Relax. You're definitely not going to die on this boat. You're already dead.
What?
Only kidding. You will live a long life, George, because you have been chosen for a great mission. You, George Patterson, you will help change the world.
Oh Lord, I have died and gone to lawyer hell.
No, George. No, you are quite alive, and you will listen to me now. The world your children will inherit is in terrible shape. It is a dangerous world where disease, discord, and dissonance abound. Violence has become an acceptable solution to human disagreement. You know this is true, and you know unless something is done, it will only get worse. Is this the future you want for Trevor, Scott, Julie, and little Jane?
No, no, of course not. But what can one person do? I'm only one man.
Ah, only one man. But not alone, George. There are many, many other peoples and groups working to create a peaceful, just, and sustainable future that could probably use a good lawyer. Your mission is to seek them out and find your place among them. The idea, George, is to find out what you do best and use that to do good, to help build the future you want for Alice and the kids.
This, this is too much. I don't know what to do.
Wake up, George. Wake uppy. Time to wake up.
What? What? Oh, jeez. What a crazy dream. Well, that explains why Betty, the Staten Island Ferry fairy, could know what she knew. It was a dream. A silly dream.
Oh, you awake? I forgot my newspaper. Oh, here it is. Well, bye, George, and give my best to Alice and the kids.
Wait! You can't leave me like this. I've lost track of what is real, what makes sense.
What? Wait, what doesn't make sense?
Betty, tell me the truth. Are you real?
Oh, George, why couldn't you just leave it? You would have had a story to tell Alice and the kids, but now you've just spoiled it. You yanked me back into reality. A 40-something-year-old copywriter from Staten Island whose only joy in life is dressing up as a fairy and messing with minds of lawyers who look like they need some novelty in their lives.
Betty, please come back here. Sit with me for just a few more minutes.
Okay, George. Talk to me. Just tell me what you need.
I need to know how you did it. How you knew the things you could not know.
Like
The names of my wife and kids, what they wore for Halloween, and especially the chest pains. How could you know?
Well, George, knowing a lot about you is easy and it was quick. I just Googled your name. It brought me right to your Facebook page.
But how did you know my name in the first place?
You need to be more careful where you leave open your briefcase. I mean, especially with your business card so visible. You never know when some scammer will try to...
Okay. But the chest pains?
George, you have 3 kinds of antacids in your briefcase. It doesn't take a giant leap to figure out that a middle-aged family man in a stressful job would be worried that the pains were very much more than indigestion. And like most men, when it comes to their health, you were probably going to be too terrified to even admit your fears to your wife. It was just an educated guess, and I nailed it.
Will I see you again tomorrow on the crossing?
No, George. I've delivered my message. There are many others whose lives need a little shaking up.
And you take it upon yourself to be the shaker. How arrogant.
Yeah, and?
And nothing.
So, George, you've got about 30 seconds before I disappear from your life. It's forever. Tell me, what was the message?
Ah, yes. The message from God or from Betty?
From God via Betty.
Well, Betty, apparently God wants me to do more good in the world, to work to create a peaceful, just, and sustainable future for my children and all humanity's children, really.
And will you do that? I mean, will you seek out others working towards social justice for all? Will you use your skills as a lawyer to do genuine good work in the world, George?
I don't know what you want me to say. Yes. Yes, I'm inspired. I'm totally moved and motivated. I am Don Quixote de la Mancha. Windmills beware. But I am not a knight. I'm not a hero, sadly. I'm just an ordinary man who's heard something new, who's felt something, something stirring deep within.
What you heard, George, is the call of adventure. The hero's call to adventure.
I told you, I'm no hero.
Too late, George. Once you hear the call, it will not stop until you answer. And that thing you feel stirring deep within, that's what will drive you to answer.
You know, Betty, at first I thought you were crazy, and maybe you are, but I know one thing for sure. Betty, the Staten Island Ferry is very, very real. That's the final call to debark. Uh, I need to go, Betty.
Oh, bye. And by the way, George, those chest pains really are only indigestion. Cut down on the tacos and hot sauce. You'll be fine.